bunch of hornets dance. Snapback caps at rallies, ready. Spirits never lack. Thoughts and pride with style in the swag sack. In the quad, we ain't never gonna stop. In the quad, we always on top. In the quad, feel the music drop. In the quad, roots run deep.
What's going on, HBCU family? It is Tuesday, December 3rd. And let me tell you something. Y'all have showed up and shown out. So I put out the call yesterday for my Tuesday top 10 TV or movie characters that you just know went to HBCUs. And some of the responses I got, my gosh, it's TV shows I hadn't even thought of, people I hadn't even thought of, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is great. So shout out to each and every one of you who participated in our first ever top 10 TV characters that you just know went to HBCUs. I don't know that I will do this specific one again because I already know what next week's going to be. But this one, off chain. Y'all were off chain for this. But welcome to another episode of In the Quad with Nick Eden. I am your gracious host, Nick Eden. We're back with another phenomenal show. Y'all, if this is your first time tuning in to In the Quad with Nick Eden, what we do here is we take all the trending topics across the entire HBCU landscape. And that's Twitter /X, Fanbase, Fizz, TikTok, IG, Snapchat, Facebook, everywhere. We condense them down into 4 main topics on our regular show. That's the first part of the show. The second part of the show is our fam topics. That is where you, the viewer, get to express your opinions or ask your questions. And I will say this, because we will be going back to the regular show format tomorrow. If you would like to get your questions or comments on fam topics, it's really simple. Just head right over here to my socials, at Nick Eden on X, at Nick Eden on IG. Click the link tree in the bio. Submit your question or comment. If it's appropriate, I will read it. If it makes it past Uncle Samson. I know y'all been missing Uncle Samson. So if it makes it past Uncle Samson, I will read it. If not, you're getting left on red. So that just kind of is what it is. Now, in today, I told y'all yesterday, we're going to start mixing this up a little bit. So Monday, we did our HBCU Twitter weekly review. That took the entire show. That's the Monday format going forward. Today, we're only going to be doing one main topic. Then we're going to do a deep dive on that main topic. And then we're going to go into our Tuesday top 10 in the second part of the show. But let me go ahead and say something real quick. And I wasn't going to talk about this because quite frankly, I'm just over it. At first, I was going to put it in, but then I was like, screw it. The SWAC postseason awards came out. And let me say first, I have always prided myself that the calendar and that this show is not specific to Alabama State. I love my alma mater. And I'm not saying that I will not do, because I am still contemplating whether I should do the Hornet Holic podcast or not. But I did not want this show, nor did I want the calendar to be what I call propaganda podcasting. No offense to anybody who does school-specific podcasts, because there's a market for it. I just choose not to do it because I am in love with HBCUs as a whole. So I want to cover and talk about as many HBCUs as possible from an objective standpoint. But let me say this. The SWAC postseason awards came out. There were some things that were left to be desired. And quite frankly, this is, in my opinion, the third year in a row that an Alabama State defender has been snubbed in the postseason awards. I felt like they did it 2 years in a row with Bubba. I felt like they did it this year with Traquan Thomas. Now, that being said, I'm all for co-defensive player of the year, but it's really funny that they just do it this year when the last 2 years, when it really should have been Bubba, when he led in daggone near all the statistics, that there was no co-defensive player of the year. You can also tell when you look at first team defense, 5 defensive players from Alabama State are on there. I had a chance to talk to some of the young men, and they're like, we're over it. We're done with it. And honestly, that's the attitude you got to take. Just keep hitting those boys in the mouth. And for everybody out there who is just, you can hope for the best for your school. That's great. But a lot of these people who claim they are analysts are not objective. They're not analysts. They throw out some stats, and they're really just fanboys of their own schools. That's the truth. That's the truth. So now that I got that out the way, I'm going to hear about that. But now that I got that out the way, let's get down to business. And our business that we got to get down to is this ESPN Band of the Year. Let's talk about it. Now, let's go ahead and just get this out the way real quick. Shout out to John Grant, who I had the pleasure of meeting when I was at HBCU game day last year. Big shout out to John Grant. I think what he's been able to do with the Celebration Bowl, also what he's been able to do with attempt to do with the Band of the Year, I think is admirable. But I got a couple of issues here. And let's get the first things out of the way. So those don't know, it's broken up to Division 1, Division 2. We know that Division 1 is Division 2, you got Virginia State and Miles that'll be traveling. And then you got North Carolina A&T, who will be returning, and Florida A&M. Now, I got no problem with any of those 4 programs. No problem at all. Shout out to my frat brother, Willie Snipes at Miles College. Do your thing, my man. I will be rooting. I will be rooting you on. I mean that. Shout out to Willie Snipes. All hail. I have a problem with a couple things with the ESPN Band of the Year. I do. And before I get into, you know what? I don't even see why. There's no reason to not get into it. Let's go ahead and pull up the site. Yes, I know. Okay, it's not. Of course, it's not wanting to share. Thank you. Goodness gracious. All right, the rankings. Let's break down how these rankings are done. And I'm gonna tell you why this has been so tumultuous amongst the band community, and why you're probably going to get the exact same turnout that you got last year. All right. Performances are judged on an individual basis, with judges giving scores for specific areas only. Bands are encouraged to submit a performance to be judged monthly. The committee is co-chaired by Jackson State Director of Band and Mistress, Professor Donald Taylor, and Dr. Julian White, FAMU Director of Band and Mistress. The next update will come in late October. The top 15 will be reduced to top 10 overall. You say, okay, that's over. So we see how the rankings are released. They're released each month, right? And then your final cumulative. Then you have your scoring. You got musicality, pictures, drill and design, percussion, drum majors, auxiliaries, dance flags, majorettes. The highest possible points per band is 330. So let me go ahead and say this. Let me go ahead and say something real quick. And this is where it starts to break down a bit for me. If we're speaking objectively, this was the score. The score is going into this month, right? Now, the last month, the month previous, Jackson State University was ranked number 3. Ranked number 3. Can anybody objectively who's been watching the band, can anybody objectively tell me what was the decrease in quality in Jackson State from October to November that dropped them from number 3 to number 8? That in itself should let you know that there is something fundamentally wrong with this ranking system. And I will go further to say that the people who are involved at the highest level are not only are you not taking any of this into account, you don't even know what you're doing. Now, originally how it was proposed to everyone was, hey, you've got D2 directors voting on D1, D1 voting on D2. That's going to keep it fair. Okay. Here's the problem that comes in with that. If I'm a Division I or Division II collegiate band director of bands, which is a beyond full-time job, we're really talking 10 to 14-hour days during marching season, 5 days a week for practice, and then game day, which leaves Sunday to prep for the week, to review your own footage, to make the necessary adjustments for your own band, and to direct your staff on what to do, right? So we're talking 80 to 100 hours a week, if we're being completely honest with you. How on earth am I able to objectively and timing-wise judge 15 bands 14 outside of mine? How is it possible? And how is it that even with all of that, every week, and don't get me wrong, again, I understand propaganda. Every week, everybody, with the exception, this is no disrespect, because it's Aggies, I love y'all, but y'all take this stuff too sensitively. When people ask questions about it, when people ask actual questions about it, y'all automatically think that people are coming after BGMM, and that is not the case. We just have questions on things that are quite literally nonsensical. It makes no sense. I agree, Sonic Boom. You do have people acting like anyone who questions how the bands are scored is crazy. So that's my first thing. The second thing is, they say you can submit once a month, whatever the case may be. How on earth are they getting most of this material? I'm gonna tell you how they're getting most of this material. They're getting it from Smash, from Showtime, from Killer Kev, from JTV, even KB the Bandhead, which I have some issues there. But they're getting it from BandTube HD, which I have some issues there. But they're getting it from the creators in the space who are putting it out there. So then my next question is, how are the very people who are making it possible for you to access all of this not involved in the voting process? How do you not have the input how do you not have an ambassador program for the Killer Kevs and the Showtimes and the Smash and the Passion Is Network? How do you not have the people who are actually providing the content as a part of the creative decisions, or at least the voting in which this goes? And for everybody who sits there and just says, oh, well, I mean, look, man, it's just a band. I listen to people get up here on this YouTube and on X and even some on HBCU Plus. And they talk about how, because they played this game, that they understand the game of football at a high level that the average person that does not understand. Listen, I'll defer to that. I told y'all before, I'm a baseball guy. I told you that before. But why is it that when it comes to the bands, and somebody who knows this at the highest level questions something about it, you automatically discredit them as being butthurt because their school isn't number one? Absolutely insane. Because let me say this, I'm not even saying it to say that I should be one of the judges, but this is what I do know. I picked up a tuba for the first time 31 years ago. I have played for presidents, senators, governors, congressmen, congresswomen, you name it. I've traveled all across this country. I have forgotten more scales than most people will ever know. I have marched more drills than a lot of people have walked in their entire lifetime. And there are still people who know this at a level much higher than me. So how are they not included in the decision-making, in the voting that goes into this? Because what ends up happening is the Killer Cavs, the Smash, the Passion Is Networks, Diary of a Lady Band Director, these folks are trusted sources to this band community. If they're not involved with it, well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second. I want to address this question. We're going to go to commercial break. Why can't they do one simple thing? Have 2 or 3 bands record a demo performance so they can give an example of how bands are judged. I think that will completely eliminate. Transparency in it, and I think that's the problem. That's why. But we're going to take our first commercial break. When we come back, I'm going to break down what I believe to be the actual solution to this. Say the Quad with Nick Eden.
Technology lets you monitor your pet when you're not at home. But to monitor threats to your hybrid workforce wherever they are, you need more than technology. You need CDW, who gets to know your business and can design and deploy custom solutions with pre-configured HP notebooks with HP Wolf Security. AI-enabled threat detection and remote management protect your endpoints 24/7, giving your defenses some real teeth.
Bummer.
HP makes always-on remote security possible. CDW makes it powerful.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, "You're gonna love this." He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, "These cars are going fast," I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue, with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day. See you next week.
Welcome back to In the Quad with Nick Eden. It is 22 past the hour. Let me go ahead and say this real quick. I don't want anybody to think that I am disparaging the ESPN Band of the Year. Let me just go ahead and say that. Again, I appreciate what John Grant is trying to do. I just think that there are things that can be done to fix it. Now, let me be honest with you. What you're going to run into next in just 10 days, you're going to run into a situation, because I can tell you right now, if you're in places like the Real HBCU Band Uncut, if you watch any of the, because I consume all of it. I consume all of the band content, all of it. And I'm telling you, nobody who actually consumes this and is actually a part of this band culture is excited about this band of the year. Nobody. None of the influencers. I think what they're banking on, A&T has a huge, huge alumni base in Atlanta. They're used to traveling to Atlanta for those who are not in the city of Atlanta during December because of their History and Celebration Bowl. Miles is only a couple of hours away. Virginia State is right up the road. FAMU, huge alumni base in Atlanta. If I'm not mistaken, I think Atlanta is FAMU's second biggest market for their second biggest alumni association. I could be wrong. So I do think that they're banking on, hey, that's going to do it. But you're not going to get that with just the people. Like, you want the band heads. And I think that's one of the reasons they include, and I will give them props for being strategic about including the high school bands too. So you will get some of the people who are coming to see their high school bands. I don't think it's going to be a lot more. I just don't. I don't think it's going to be a lot more. I don't think that it is. I think what you're going to run into, because make no mistake about it, adding the high schools was absolutely a response to how many people did not show up last year. But you're not going to fill that place up. And anybody who thinks that you can't fill that place up in Atlanta with band heads, I would direct you to the Honda Battle of the Bands. Because when Honda Battle of the Bands was in Atlanta, it was popping. We're talking pre-pandemic. It could rival a lot of games that went on in the dome. So this is how you fix it. And I will, if somebody clip this, I may clip it and send it to Mr. Grant, because I really want to see this. I really want to see this succeed. The first thing you need to do is you need to expand the voting power. The same way that you take applications for credentials to cover the game, you need to take applications for ambassadors and influencers. You cannot, this is as simple as running an affinity program. I did the same thing for Harley Davidson when I was a contractor with US Bank. You go to where people of influence are. And those people of influence go to their fan bases, and they bring their fan bases in because they are now part of the process. So the people I mentioned before, Smash, Showtime Web, Killer Kev, JTV, Sonic Boom C98, Patch and His Network, Luke and all them, Crystal, Diary of a Lady Band Director. There are so many out there with millions upon millions of views that drive the HBCU space on YouTube is dominated by marching bands. Don't take my word for it. Look at the numbers. Killer Kev and Showtime Web get more views than anybody sitting around talking about football, basketball, baseball, or soccer. That's just the truth. Now, you reach out to them first. You create an ambassador program. An ambassador program that highlights the people who have given to this space and made this space hot to begin with, and they should have voting power. You give a I agree with making a demo performance and going in and saying, okay, this is how everything is judged. You got to have some transparency on it. Otherwise, people are just going to be like, this is just it's a cash grab for band folks, and we're not going for it. Honestly, people are more excited about the Honda in Inglewood than they are Band of the Year. But again, when you actually include band culture, then you get better results. So that's the first thing you do. Second, I don't, and this is no shot at them, because I don't even know that they're going to be hosting. If I see Jay Walker and Tiffany Green hosting anything to do with bands, I'm going to pull what hair I have left out of my head. Why do you not have someone like Curtis Akeem, who again, garners millions of views on band content on TikTok and Facebook. Why do you not have someone like Six Guy Lorenzo, who garners hundreds of thousands of views on Instagram, dealing largely with band content? You're going to need a host that is from the culture, of the culture, and will excite people who consume the culture to come to the event. Because I'm telling you, if you can do that, you will get people who had no intention of going to the Celebration Bowl to come just to ESPN Band of the Year. The next thing you do, you get the organizations involved. Where's Mike? How do you not have Phi Mu Alpha involved in some form or fashion? How do you not have Kappa Kappa Psi involved in some form or fashion? How do you not have Tau Beta Sigma, Sigma Alpha Iota, Mu Phi Epsilon, Mu Phi Sigma, RDO? How do you not have the band and music organizations involved in this in some way? See, the Honda understood this. And for a while, we had a whole, Phi Mu Alpha and Sigma Alpha Iota had a whole annual trip to the Honda. That was our, damn near our national convention. Our Sig Phi connection, that's what we did. Look, we are buying rooms. We're buying blocks of rooms at the host hotel. We're buying blocks of tickets. We are sponsoring. We're giving money back to the bands. We're giving money back to the organizations. We're giving money back to the schools. Ask anybody who went to the Honda pre-pandemic. Because all you saw was red, black, and gold, and red and white, and blue, white, and gold, and purple and white. How do you not have the organizations who are literal mission and our point of being is advancing music in America, and what's supposed to be one of the biggest band events of the year, not involved at all? Insane. Absolutely insane. And again, this ain't a shot at A&T. It's not. And there are other cases. If I went through month by month and just broke this list down, there are other cases of it, because I wasn't gonna touch it. I ain't gonna hold you. I wasn't gonna touch it because I'm kind of at the point now where I'm just like, y'all, it's beyond me. But it was such a glaring reality to see the Sonic Boom of the South go from number 3 to number 8 in 1 month, when nobody can tell me realistically what about the quality. Because again, those of us who consume the culture, we've been watching the field show, 0 quarter and 5th quarter of Jackson State every week in between. What about the quality drop? What about it dropped? So drastically that it goes from number 3 to number 8. And then when you go back and you look at some of the other schools, you had Alabama State go from 5 to 9. You had South Carolina State. I think South Carolina State dropped completely off the list when they were like number 4 at some point. It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. It doesn't. So I think you'll get a little bit of a boost this year because you will have local high schools there. Unless you're about to tell me that Southwest DeKalb is not in the top 2. And at that point, y'all can wrap it up. But if you're trying to do this again in 2025, you're going to have to make those necessary changes in order to actually have a successful event. Because for this to be the band of the year, quite literally, every other band across the country has a higher attendance than you, and it will continue that way until you make the necessary changes that include the culture. All right, y'all. We're going to take our second commercial break. It's 33 after the hour. When we come back, our Tuesday top 10. It's in the quad with Nick Eden.
When I push, I push. When I push, I feel good. When I pull, I feel good.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
From now on, it's all about us. Starting a family, buying a car, our first home.
They told you to open an account, then turned you away. They said, come back when you're ready. You said, we're ready now.
I know we're going to make it.
Hope makes it happen. Thousands of your neighbors, many who never had a bank account before, improved their lives with Hope Credit Union. You can too. Brighter futures begin with hope.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, you're gonna love this. He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, these cars are going fast, I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
$35 past the hour, y'all. You are tuned into another episode of In the Quad with Nick Eden. I am your gracious host, Nick Eden. Y'all, we are at a brand new segment of the show that I am so excited to bring to y'all, and that is our Tuesday Top 10. Telling y'all I've been working overtime. Listen, so I put out the call yesterday introducing this new segment. This was going to be a standalone show, and it's one that I was going to try to do over Thanksgiving holiday, but I couldn't do it. No, that's why I had all those replays. But I thought it would be a fantastic segment on In the Quad, and it will be a great top 10 going forward. This top 10 this week, again, I put out the call. I wanted to get your suggestions on top 10 TV or movie characters that you just know they went to HBCUs. Now, here's the thing about it, y'all. It's not the real person. We're talking the characters, okay? We're talking the characters, not the people. Okay? All right. Now that we got that out the way, Let's see. Hold on for 1 second. Let me get career. I am going to mess this up. I know some of these names because some y'all came in strong with some stuff that I have not seen in years. But let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, so our first person. I thought it was cute. I thought this was really cute. Aunt Rachel from Family Matters. Aunt Rachel. I never thought about it. I never really considered it, but how it was presented to me was several people just said it, and then somebody went in depth, and they were like, Aunt Rachel is the type of person who went to an HBCU, probably went to major in something else, fell in love with business, wanted to start her own thing, just kind of needed that leg up, so she went and stayed with the Winslows until she got her restaurant up, and then boom, successful businesswoman. that is textbook HBCUs. I gotta be honest, man. I was flabbergasted by that one. Aunt Rachel, yeah, most definitely. Aunt Rachel definitely went to HBCU. If I had to put it to an HBCU in particular, I would probably say that Aunt Rachel either went to A&T or like Virginia State, or maybe even Winston-Salem, right? You know, so she's on the Eastern Seaboard, but then, you know, making a transition to Chicago wasn't a difficult move. So shout out to, oh my gosh, I forgot the actress's name. Y'all have to forgive me. If y'all know it, drop it in the chat. And if you have any suggestions, drop them in the chat too. I'll read them as honorable mention. But shout out to Aunt Rachel. Aunt Rachel definitely went to an HBCU. All right, our next one. And I was excited about this because this was my favorite show in the late 90s, the Jamie Foxx show. I absolutely loved it, right? And Aunt Helen, listen, again, textbook HBCU. You have this young lady, she's a successful business owner. She and her husband is a street dude, which I'm not being funny. You know, a lot of y'all young ladies, y'all were in love with the locals. That's how the locals keep getting on the yard. Y'all were in love with the locals. I feel like she fell in love with a local and then brought him on up there. So originally, I was thinking that Aunt Helen would have probably gone to, I wasn't going to say Spelman, but I was going to say Bennett College. I felt like she was at an all-women's school. But I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Nah, you got to remember, they're from Texas, right?" So I'm thinking that Aunt Helen probably went to Texas Southern or maybe even Wiley College, right, which is now Wiley University. So Aunt Helen from the Jamie Foxx show, most definitely went to an HBCU. All right. So we're going to go to our next one. This next one, I feel like may have been a low-key shot at me because you got so many people that we've got our professional lives and then we've got our hustle lives. And that's like pretty much anybody that's in this HBCU media space. So this was another one. Sydney Dean from White Men Can't Jump. Man, when I tell you my top 10 movies of all time, I absolutely love this movie. And when somebody submitted Sydney Dean, it made a really good case for him where it was like, oh, okay, here's this dude that, as you see, he seems like a street hustler, right? He seems like a street hustler, but, you know, and he's real braggadocious. This was probably a guy who played at an HBCU on the D1 level, or at that time, D1 AA level, played for a good basketball program, never went pro, finished his degree, has a professional life, but he can't let go of it. He's still that good. He's still that nice on the court. And he's going to get out there and he's going to talk mess. And so I got to thinking, I'm like, well, what school would fit that cachet? And then I was like, Norfolk State University. I feel like Sydney Dean was a graduate of Norfolk and moved out to the West Coast. Probably played in the G League, and then just, you know, it didn't really work out for him. But as the movie goes on, you see that he is a professional. And that's the duality that a lot of us have, right? We still have our passion. I feel like if it were today's time, he'd still be out there hustling the street, but he probably also have a podcast about HBCU hoops. So yes. Sydney Dean definitely went to an HBCU. The next two took me by storm because I have not seen it since I was a kid. Okay, so this is one of two entries that were 2-1. right? And some of y'all are gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" But if you remember the show that came out in the 80s, Amen, Deacon Fry, who was played by Sherman Hemsley, and then Reverend Reuben Gregory, played by Clifton Davis, who actually is a minister now. Yeah, it definitely gives HBCU vibes, especially when you consider how many HBCU alums are in the clergy. I could definitely see a situation where they probably both went to Morehouse. You know, they probably both went to Morehouse, and I don't think, if I, correct my memory, I don't think that they like knew each other prior to it. But I could definitely see it's like, okay, both Morehouse men, probably both pledged Alpha, and so here comes, Reverend Gregory out, and so yeah, most definitely Reverend Reuben Gregory and Deacon Fry of Amen. Morehouse men went to HBCU. This next one, 5 of you submitted and said the exact same university. I don't know if y'all coordinated this, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, it's perfect. Maxine Shaw, attorney at and all 5 people who submitted Maxine Shaw said she went to Clark Atlanta. All 5 of you. Hey, you listen. It's a special place in my heart because my sister graduated from Clark Atlanta and she's an attorney. And she damn sure reminds me of Maxine Shaw. So, Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. Shout out to Living Single, one of the best shows of the 90s, one of the best TV shows of all time. They killed it with that one. They killed it with that one. Our next entry. Well, actually, we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll be right back with our next entry. We'll be right back. It's 45 after the hour. It's in the quad with Edith.
From now on, it's all about us. Starting a family, buying a car, our first home.
They told you to open an account, then turned you away. They said, come back when you're ready. You said, we're ready now.
I know we're going to make it.
Hope makes it happen. Thousands of your neighbors, many who never had a bank account before, improved their lives with Hope Credit Union. You can too. Brighter futures begin with hope.
When I push, I feel push. When I push, I feel good. When I pull, I feel good.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. It's these pro-level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
All right, y'all. Welcome back to In the Quad with Nick Eden. Y'all, we are in the middle of our top 10, our first ever top 10, and these are top 10 TV or movie characters that you just know went to HBCUs. This next entry, I was actually kind of shocked by this. At first, I was like, yeah, No, but it makes all the sense in the world. Now, when I went back and thought about it, I was like, it's actually a perfect pairing. Savannah and Bernadette from Waiting to Exhale. Savannah, listen, as far as I'm concerned, after really sitting down and looking at it, Savannah and Bernadette probably went to Spelman together or Howard together. They are line sisters. I think that they probably at one point, when they were freshmen or sophomores, they had they were roommates. So yes, Savannah and Bernadette from Waiting to Exhale. And let me go ahead and say this real quick. How gorgeous Whitney Houston and Angela Bassett. When we say 90s fine, that's what we talking about. Goodness. So yes, Savannah and Bernadette definitely went to an HBCU, definitely line sisters, definitely were roommates. And listen, I know somebody who was like, watch these movies extensively is going to come on. No, actually, Savannah went to Arizona State. She said it at the 13-minute mark. Listen, do not spoil our fun. Do not spoil our fun. They definitely went to HBCUs. Definitely. This next one, this was another one that I had to think about for a second. And once I thought about it, it made all the sense in the world. Charlie from Blackish makes a lot of sense. Because at first it's like, yeah, he seems kind of stupid, very eccentric. But when you look at it, like when you look at the totality of Blackish, not only was he working, because we already knew that Dre graduated from Howard. We're looking at this guy who's working at this high-powered marketing agency and is also an adjunct professor on Grownish. I'm like, man, sometimes you got to code switch in the office, while you're getting your real thing going across. So in my mind, because he is a teacher, as well as in the business world, I have to put my alma mater out there, Alabama State University, because I've seen this happen. I know a lot of people who work in corporate America, then they teach on the side or they tutor, they do different things. Hell, I do. I'm one of those people. I do. So yeah, I got to give it to Charlie from Blackish. And it's funny because that was one of the first submissions that I got. And he was actually one of the people when I was putting this graphic together, I was thinking should be on the graphic, and I was like, probably wouldn't work. And as you know, there's some people on the graphic. Just because they're on the graphic doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be in the top 10. But yeah. All right, this next one, my word. Without question, Miss Tony Childs. Girlfriends will remain in my top 20 no matter what other TV shows come out over the next 20, 30 years. One of my favorites. And she is one of the reasons that is one of my favorites. In my mind, Tony Childs most definitely graduated from Spelman and also Jill Marie Jones. Boy, that woman there, something special. But yes, Tony Childs definitely graduated from Spelman. She's probably president of the Alumni Association. I'm gonna catch this. I know I'm gonna catch a text message about this, but she's probably president of her Alumni Association. She's probably, kind of high ranking in her sorority, just the whole nine, right? Yeah, she is definitely Tony Childs from Girlfriends. Knows that. And let me just go ahead and say this right now. These last two were absolute knockouts. absolute knockouts. And there is no way that this was not the case. First, my man, Furious Styles definitely went and graduated from an HBCU. Now, I am torn in fairness. I'm torn because in the movie Boys in the Hood, Trey ended up going to Morehouse. My first inclination is that Furious Styles was also a Morehouse man. That out on the West Coast, a lot of times out on the West Coast, people don't know about a lot of HBCUs, especially at that time. We're talking pre-internet. So I feel like there was a connection there before he did. I feel like Furious Styles either graduated from Morehouse College or Tuskegee. One of the two. I think it's either Morehouse or Tuskegee. But most definitely Furious Styles. Shout out to Furious Styles. Shout out to everybody involved with Boys in the Hood. I know somebody was like, well, technically he went to Mission College. Y'all just starting y'all trying to do a HBCU multiverse. That is not Dunlap. He actually two different people. But yeah, Furious Styles, most definitely. And the last one, and I want to go ahead and say real quick, y'all were really specific about this. Really specific about this. Dark skin on it. Yeah, listen, everybody who wrote it in said either the first Aunt Viv or dark skin Aunt Viv. Now, the question is where? I had folks who said Howard. I had folks who said Spelman. I had folks who said Dillard and Xavier. But keeping it in the context of where they were from, we're talking about Pennsylvania. I would say that dark-skinned Aunt Viv graduated from Cheyney University. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. She is super astute, super, educated, very strong sense of her blackness. And you got Lincoln and you got Cheyney, but how appropriate is it that dark-skinned Aunt Viv would have gone to the first HBCU? So that's okay. She definitely went to, in my opinion, she went to Cheyney University. So y'all, that was our first ever top 10, Tuesday top 10, and that's top 10 TV or movie characters that went to HBCUs. I did want to give an honorable mention. Let's see. This person said Ghost definitely went to either Pine Bluff, Southern, or possibly Texas Southern. I thought that was a good honorable mention because it's like, at first it was like, I don't really know if I want the association of, but then it's like Texas Southern. Listen, there's a lot of weight that's moved through Houston. It's a lot of weight that's moved through Houston, and hey, for what it's worth, Baton Rouge gotta listen. I'm not gonna say too much, but shout out to Ghost and shout out to the person who submitted that one. I thought that was an incredible honorable mention. Y'all, this was fantastic. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for this. Let me give my final thoughts right after this last commercial break. It is In the Quad with Nick Eden.
Technology lets you monitor your pet when you're not at home. But to monitor threats to your hybrid workforce wherever they are, you need more than technology. You need CDW, who gets to know your business and can design and deploy custom solutions with pre-configured HP notebooks with HP Wolf Security. AI-enabled threat detection and remote management protect your endpoints 24/7, giving your defenses some real teeth.
Bummer.
HP makes always-on remote security possible. CDW makes it powerful.
Whether you call her Granny, Nana, my dear, she knows a treat makes any meal special. So come to McDonald's and treat yourself to the Grandma McFlurry today. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Time to call a credit repair company to fix my credit. Hold the phone, man. You can do it yourself with Credit Versio. That's way too hard. Call the credit repair company. Most credit repair companies only work on 1 or 2 accounts at a time, making it slow and expensive. You won't figure that out for months. Ignore him. Credit Versio's brilliant software scans all 3 credit bureaus, finds the accounts that are hurting your score, and guides you through the entire process. Anyone can do it. Let's fast forward and see the results. Wow, I fixed my own credit and saved hundreds. You can do this. Visit creditversio.com.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
When I push, I feel push, 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 push. When I push, I feel good. When I pull, I feel good.
All right, y'all. Welcome back to the quad. Final thoughts. Hey, y'all. Tomorrow, we will be breaking down the situation at St. Augustine's University and what they can do to fix it. Tomorrow's going to be more of an educational show. There's definitely still going to be some entertainment, a little bit of ratchetness, but it's definitely going to be more informative, educational wise. I'm going to break down what's going on with St. Augustine's and how they can possibly pull themselves out of it. Outside of that, listen, everybody's got lists, everybody's got rankings. To the students, I'm not talking to the alums right now, to the students at these universities, to the student athletes, to the students within these programs. Listen, you know your worth. You know your worth, okay? And because you know your worth, do not let the list of someone who is not in the trenches with you determine your worth and your value, okay? Keep that in mind. I will also say it's a lot of coaching changes that we're going to talk about tomorrow as well. Don't be so quick to jump into that portal just yet, all right? Because, there's no telling what could be on the other side of it. I'm going to do a deep dive on the portal one of these days because it has become a graveyard, particularly for a lot of our students who have people in their ears who's gassing them up for things without thinking clearly. So anyway, I want everybody to have an amazing day. Thank you again for everybody who participated in the top 10 characters, went to HBCUs. And I will see you same time tomorrow. Take care.